It's LLC time, babies. Yeah, post-conference cloud is still drifting, all like that. Just like my screen is lagging, that's what it feels like. Everything's in about zero point zero 0.05. So, welcome back for another fun episode. Thank you for your graces and your patience last week. Like I said in our group chat, Big 12 won, Chew 0. They literally kicked my butt. So it did not, the episode was not happening. Couldn't do it. So, but thank you. And I promise I'll get better again. So without further ado, gentlemen, how are we tonight? Far away traveler, how far away are you?
uh, 7 hour time change.
Got it. All
So I
right.
am
Well,
bouncing around in Europe for a week.
good times, good times. Clyde, how are you tonight?
Just spent my week preparing for the eventual trek to Fayetteville, Arkansas for the West region. I don't want to hear nothing about nobody complaining about going to Eugene. Getting to Fayetteville is way worse.
Last but definitely never least, Governor, how are you tonight?
Um, Hosting the AAC championships. Yeah, I will be recovered when I touch down in Fayetteville on
Right.
Monday because oh my goodness. And I mean, did I have to do what I did? No. Did I have to run around like a chicken with my head cut off? No. But there's no way that I was going to have our conference opponents come to our home
For the
Hmm.
first time.
and for the first time and not make sure everything, every T was
Precise.
crossed, every I
Yeah.
was dotted. Um, and I'm paying the price now. But was it worth it? Yes. When my conference, uh, you know, my peers, text me, inbox me, telling me how great of a meet we ran, and they were looking to come back next year. That's a gratitude I need. That's all I need.
I mean, it says a lot just to build on that for a second. Hosting a conference meet or a large level meet like that, there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that you have to really pay attention to if you, one, want people to return,
Mm-hmm.
two, say good things, and three, actually care about your product.
Yep.
Like all the way down to officials hospitality, all the way down to where you put hospitality.
Yep.
Because there's a huge difference. And I was very blessed to learn that very early on in my career. And to this day, like people don't understand why I say the things that I say whenever we're hosting our home meet. I'm like, if you want them to come back, you will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care about that, then so be it.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
It's the little logistical things that are everything.
Yeah.
hmm and rule number one, no matter what anybody says, good hospitality, good officials hospitality,
Mm-hmm.
and good officials gear.
Yes.
If the officials are happy, you're going to always have a great meet or a good meet.
Absolutely.
So, note to
Absolutely.
anybody who's going to be hosting anytime soon, any meet, not just a conference meet. So, anyhow, speaking of conferences, let's do a little riggedy wrap up of conference weekend or the last of conference weekends. No offense to anybody who had theirs before that, but it was a weekend to say the
I don't know
least.
how anybody else feels that watches, because obviously I wasn't blessed to be in the fire like you guys, but because of you guys, I felt like a, a DJ at a party. Right, I was just watching some of this, watching some of this, watching some of this, watching some of this, and the I love conference weekend because it's such a ridiculous track overload, but the downer after that is just, it's like falling into the Grand Canyon. Like when the last 4x4 was run, and I think it was the SEC's 4x4 was the last thing. When the last 4x4 was run, I was like, what am I gonna do with myself? I had just watched like
It's
wall to
very
wall track for 4 days.
and it's very similar to being at the Olympic Games. You know, those last two events, you're sitting in the stands, and it's like, man, I've been here for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
it's all about to end. Like, oh,
Back
yeah.
to
That is the
reality.
fastest 16 days on the planet.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
So here's what I would like to do, especially in the absence of Sir Lucius. Because in case I'm wrong, both like the AAC, there were some awesome things going on there,
Mhm.
and you were hosting, sir.
Yes.
So I would like a report of the ACC for AAC for the audience from the host.
Yep.
No, the Big 12 was an interesting type of
Oh
blood,
my gosh.
but the
That could be a show in itself.
but the TCU crew, you know, had some big time things going on
Absolutely.
there. I would like a report of that. We
Yeah.
know we know that Far Away Traveler will give us all things SEC.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, really? That's what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So who starts?
You.
I mean, you were the host. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like the host should go first.
Um, so I've experienced this phenomenon once before. I was at Mizzou when Mizzou moved from the Big 12 to the SEC. And I will never forget that fall, you know, the announcement, all of this, all the fanfare. We go through football season, and Mizzou football gets a glimpse of what SEC football is, right? We're moving into we're getting through indoors, we get to outdoors. And all of a sudden, my kids start seeing another side of me. And it's not the fun and happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, like, what's wrong with him? You know? And on no fewer than 3 occasions did I stop practice. I literally stopped practice, and I was like, do you understand what is coming to your house? Do you have any idea how much you're going to get hit in the mouth again and again and again? You have no clue. And so it was just a reminder, a reminder, and a reminder, a reminder. Well, this was very similar to a lesser extent because all of a sudden, USF is now a national power.
Mhm.
Yeah, USF's a problem.
South Florida is a big old problem. Okay.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's easy to go look week to week. Oh, look, we're number this in the rankings, and we've done this, and we've done this. And I'm sitting there saying, you have no clue. You really
It's
have no
coming. Yeah.
clue what's coming. And sure enough, you know, all the stuff that I had seen in the AAC back when Houston and Cincinnati and UCF, and you're seeing 6 women in the final for UCF and 100, 5 of the 200, you know, same thing happened at this meet. And I've got 2 athletes, you know, maybe 3 here and there. And it's like, we still have to run the race. We still have to compete, right? And you can't get caught up that you're surrounded by people in green. You can't do it, you know? This was a true lesson for my team, for the group in general, that there's still the matter of business and there's still the matter of executing. And, you know, I don't know if you've seen, one of our athletes went viral for
Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that. That was whack. That was terrible. Like that was terrible.
But again, you know, the amount of pent up you know, whatever you want to call it, vitriol, whatever. I mean, God knows what was going on in social media before the meet, but our athletes felt really strongly about protecting their house. And, you know, my top sprinter goes down, you know, and it's just, I'm sitting there and I'm watching and it's just like, are we prepared or were we prepared for this? And, you know, the answer will, you know, we'll figure that out, you know, as we go, as we reevaluate and all of that. But what is clear about the AAC is that Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF leaving, there is no drop off whatsoever.
No,
You
no,
know,
there's not. And
to,
I think that's surprising for a lot of people.
yeah.
But, you know, those of us in the game,
Mm-hmm.
we're not surprised that Eric Jenkins and the crew have
Absolutely.
gotten it together.
Yeah.
And
And
for
he's
it
been
all,
waiting, and he's been waiting for 4 years.
right, for it to culminate
For,
as it
exactly.
is right now
Yes.
is, you know, it's fun to watch.
It is.
I will say this about the disqualification of your young man in the 400. I'm sorry. Look, we have to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
We really have to stop this. Because here's the thing. I get it, right? And by the letter of whatever weird, archaic law you want to have, sure, you can argue that he should have been disqualified. As long as there is no physical altercation, which there absolutely wasn't, I'm not here for the DQs.
Yeah.
Like if that kid would have just run through the finish line and, you know,
Whatever.
ran off to celebrate with his team, I wouldn't have been nearly as entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I am here to be entertained. That was great. And in a meet where South Florida was dominating so much,
Yes.
for
Yes.
that kid to defend his home
Yeah.
and do something very low key in celebration of it, I can't believe they've thrown him out. I can't believe it.
So,
Like,
you know, every now and then, you know, we all question as to whether our phones are listening to us, right? I mean, so today, now it's been on the tip of everybody's tongues talking about it. Today, the video pops up on my IG of the kid from UCLA running
right.
the anchor leg.
Yes.
Oh,
Much
Okay.
more egregious.
Way
more.
more. I'm talking 150 to go.
yeah.
I just
I mean,
I don't understand. Like, the officials in all sports, you're not supposed to announce your presence.
Mm.
Like, there's calls you have to make, then there's calls you
Yeah.
don't have to make. And if it's a call you don't have to make, leave the kids alone. He ain't touched nobody. There was no altercation. But yes, that was lame. It was terrible.
You know, I mean, look, two teams go under 39 seconds in the 4x1. You know, you had to run, you know, 39, 20, 23, 30 to make the final in the 200. I mean, crazy things. Like you just, you know, but now that I'm 2 days past it, all these kids that have been there, that have been getting their butts whooped by Houston and UCF, and that they're now here and they understand what the level is and what the standard is. It's not nothing new to them. It's just that they were watching other people doing it. They're now stepping up to the plate. So it should not be a surprise at all. You know, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about the future in this conference. You know, and I just look forward to us being much more competitive. Just not at home.
yeah.
Take that for what it's worth.
Hosting conference is really hard.
It is
Hosting conference your first year in the conference,
in the conference.
that's not for the faint at heart.
No.
Didn't they do that in Missouri too?
That's what I was talking
Yeah,
about.
you missed it.
Oh,
And
all right.
I was talking about how I had to stop practice several times to remind them what was coming, you know. And
Shoot.
so
the 12.
I mean, yes, we competed till 12 a.m. every night. How about that?
Right,
Let's
right.
start
Let's
there.
call it the Big 12. All right.
Big 12, like 12 hours of competition, 12 a.m.,
Hmm.
just all of it, all of it. Like we went straight to finals on more
Mhm.
than 2 races.
Wow.
We had a timed final.
So I wanted to ask a question about that.
Hmm.
And I honestly don't remember when it was obvious that the weather was not going to allow, for normalities to happen.
Hmm.
When they decided to go straight to finals, did they reseed it?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So the lanes
Good.
did change a bit,
Okay.
and there was still words on that
Mhm.
because people were still going to be unfairly placed, if you so
Yes.
would.
Yeah.
And because I mean, the case in point is there's a person who didn't even get through. There was quite a handful of athletes who needed the rounds,
Mhm.
in the various races, and so we got -1 attempts to run.
Right.
And you saw the aftermath of that. You honestly did,
Yeah.
and whether it's the aftermath of that, even on day, I literally have my days confused because they all run into one. But on whatever trial prelim day that we actually did have, because they had to warm up, cool down, warm up, hold, warm up, run, the times were just so wonky,
Yeah.
so wonky. And, you're trying to tell the athletes, like, everybody's going through this. Everyone's going through the same
Yep.
trials and tribulations, which is so true. But for those who are still working for the marks to get out, that it's a little hard to swallow that pill at the same time, right?
It is.
So, I mean, it's funny. No digs on Mike Ford, but I had a conversation, and it brought me back to a conversation I had when I first moved here to Texas. The meets at Baylor always endure weather.
Always.
Always. It doesn't matter. And now I know it doesn't matter what meet it is.
Nope.
Michael Johnson,
Yep.
the Clyde Hart,
Fight hard.
Big
Yep.
12s.
Yep.
So,
Hey.
I mean,
Yeah.
my former boss told me, and I had to post it up in my office for the longest, no more meets at Baylor.
Hey,
Uh,
in the spirit of the Big West, I believe, Big Sky.
Big
Oh,
Sky. Yeah.
Not
Lord.
everybody is meant to host.
That's right.
It is what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Can you imagine if you were an athlete in the Big Sky that was being peaked to 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 really drop a time at the conference meet,
And then you go there.
Oh,
and then it's a blizzard,
oh boy.
and
So here's my
they're
question. Sorry. How did they run the steeple? Because
Well,
the steeple was frozen.
yes, as I understand it, the day that the picture came out when the steeple was frozen, the steeple wasn't actually run that day. And
Mm.
by the final day, like the
Yeah, they
sun,
had some, yeah.
right? Yeah, the sun was out. Understand, there's still like snow on the ground that isn't melting.
Yeah.
But
I just know that they did day one of the decathlon in that.
yeah,
in
yes, they
that wonderful
And
yes,
day
weather.
they
two. Day two as well.
both of those days. I will say this: the Big Sky still managed to get performances off
Mm-hmm.
that have landed those athletes on the list to qualify for regionals,
Absolutely.
which is a testament to the coaches and the athletes in that conference, and that was
Well,
kind of dope to see, right?
well, having coached at Mizzou, it is and faraway traveler can attest to this. Midwest kids,
Yeah.
tough as
It don't
nails.
matter. Yeah.
Tough as nails. Like, okay, it's 50
Yeah.
degrees, raining sideways. All right, let's
Yeah,
go.
but the majority of the kids in that conference ain't from the Midwest. So I was more impressed across,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we're talking about the Big 12. Maybe the news of the Big 12 is that the overwhelming favorite, in my opinion,
Yes.
Terrence Jones,
Yes.
Is not
Terrence
going.
going to run relays.
Yeah.
He's out.
Yep.
Terrence Jones.
Terrence Jones is not going to be in the individual races for the NCAAs. Like,
Yep.
that is a wild calculation.
Unreal.
Like when you think about the fact that you had a whole season, and I know he was injured, but I'm just saying, somebody that has run under 10 and under 20 had an entire season to be top 48 in half the country, and
That's
that
what-
didn't happen.
Right,
Like that doesn't even, that math is not mathing in any circumstance.
forget all that. It's not like he was down at indoor. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like, oh my
He
God.
was good in March, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we're not talking about that long ago.
So
And
yeah,
I'm not trying to pick
yeah.
Coach Rob. I'm not picking a scab. Wasn't it Terrence who false started?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
am remembering that correctly. Okay, my bad. Calvin, don't get mad at me. I'm just asking for clarification.
Like there's so many wild things that happen across the country.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was crazy. Even with our time delays, to know some of the times that weren't ran,
Mm-hmm.
pretty amazing. Some of the performances, you know,
Well,
Leo winning.
the air stayed oxidized, you know?
The air was thicker than cheese. I
I mean, I want
It
you to
was
imagine.
so bad. I was like, I was literally biting through it to get
Oh my
to
gosh.
high jump from the hurdles and stuff like
Right.
that. It was ridiculous.
Governor, I want you to imagine warming up for a long jump competition that's supposed to be at 4 o'clock
Yep.
and having that competition actually happen at 12:15 a.m.
And
and you PB by more than 30 centimeters.
insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Win legal. Like
Win
that's
legal.
so insane.
Yep. But the story, I mean, those of us that are young and old enough, I mean, understand the Bob Beamon phenomenon. I mean, thunderstorm passes through, you're at altitude, the air is oxidized, have at it.
Well, so we had the instance, we hadn't finished the deck yet.
Mm,
And so we knew, and it was 9 o'clock in the middle of a delay. And so the rule book got brought out. You know, you've got myself, the Kansas coach, Texas coach. We're talking and we're out navigating and advocating, you know, and then all of a sudden the conversation is we need to finish by 11:59.
yep.
We've got 17 minutes of this delay left. You know,
Oh
we've
my
got to get
gosh.
out and throw 3 jabs, you know, and our coordinator says we don't have to throw all 3. And the guys are like, yes, we do.
We need them
Yes,
points,
we do.
Playboy.
And so that
How
happened.
many
And
competitors?
12.
12. Okay.
And all 12 started and finished. That was a
Right.
great thing too.
Yeah.
You know, and then it got to, okay, well, we have time for the 30 minutes, but like you said earlier, Clyde, do we wait the 30 minutes
Nope, don't
and
risk it.
chance the impeding? You know,
Right.
and so we couldn't come to a consensus on that one. And so they gave us the 30 minutes, but luckily I
And
told
I'd have
our
been
guy,
like,
I was
roll.
like, yo, roll it.
Yeah.
Roll it so you can finish it.
Now, before we get into the SEC report, I will just quickly, you know, I've been waiting for them to do things like this for a while, so I will take the time to shout out what happened at a place that should host things all the time in Clovis, California.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the meet was, you know, pretty well run, and the Fresno crew does a hell of a job putting it on. But you know, the
Before
fellas
you
had
go
a
any
day.
further, do you advocate for a neutral site for conference?
I advocate that conference be run in intelligent places with the least possible weather issue. I don't like, seriously, I don't know if the majority of people in the Mountain West consider Buchanan High and Clovis to be neutral because it's the same city that Fresno State is. And I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just leave it there or tell me that we're going to Mount Sac. Anything outside of that, I don't want to hear it. Right.
I mean, technically it's neutral because Fresno State has their
Technically
own
it's
track.
neutral. Right.
It's
Technically
the
it's
city's
neutral.
track.
Exactly. But like, I couldn't really imagine, you know, our men's meet going much better.
Mm-hmm.
We made an error or two passing the baton in the 4x1, but we still broke a 20-year-old Mountain West record and ran 39 low.
Wow.
Then the hurdles come up. We sweep 1, 2, 3, break the Mountain West record that we set the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And so 3 years, 3 different champions, and 2 Mountain West records in the 110 hurdles. Then the freshman, Malachi Snow, fresh off of his winning of the hurdles, comes back for the 100. And, he's young. He didn't really warm up in between those things, right? And I'm like, bro, listen to me. You just have to do boom, 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 and we're good. And he's pressing. I was like, just listen. Got it. 10-14, Mountain West record, and San Jose State all-time record. Knocked Ronnie Ray Smith off the top of the mountain from 1968. Then the 400 comes up, and Jaden Smith runs 45.4, Mountain West record. And after all of that, right, the question is, should we let the freshman go out there and run the 200? And given the fact that Air Force was blowing everybody out by 100 points anyway, we decide like, actually, nah. Youngin, sit down. We're good. He made a mature decision in that space, so I was proud of him. So in my brain, we probably are giving up the 200 meters in that moment. And nope, Jaden Smith comes through, runs 20.6, not a Mountain West record, but gets the win.
Mm-hmm.
So we sweep all the sprints, set 4 Mountain West records, and then finally, we ran good enough to advance our team to the 4x4. So, I've been giving my guys a lot of hell all year, but they pulled it together at the right moment, and I'm super proud of them. And, when the story of 2024 of the Mountain West will be told, Air Force, unbeatable. 200-plus points, just stacked all over the place, a hell of a team. But the impact and the things that people will remember will be, what my boys did. And so I'm super impressed by that. And to the crew, to the staff, and to the kids, like, that was amazing.
Awesome.
Now the SEC report from overseas.
I mean, I wasn't even planning on staying in the SEC, but if that's my mission, then that's my mission.
Oh, no. I mean, you can get outside of it for sure, but
okay, so every now and again you're right and you feel good about being right. So 3 days before the SEC meet, I was at practice and I said out loud, the SEC meet's going to be crazy. And 2 of the people that we coach are SEC people, and they're like, Coach, it's crazy every year. I was like, yeah, but it's at Florida. And they both stopped and was like, ooh, because we were just there for training camp. So we know how fast that track is. And they had the nerve to have like the little perfect 200-meter win too.
Right.
They took out the SEC record book and just put that in the shredder. What was there 10 SEC records broken?
Yeah, I believe that was the report.
And that's without Rachel Glenn is not from this planet, and she was en route to 52.
Right.
And some change and fell over the 10th hurdle, but and then Youngin had the 47.69 400 hurdles DQ, but I still watched it happen. 4 teams ran under 39?
Yeah.
3 teams under 43.
3 teams under 3 minutes.
I'll say this, and this is probably, goes lost in the shuffle because of all the things that were amazing. Grant Holloway is still the NCAA record holder at 12.9.
Mm-hmm.
But Grant did not come close to running as clean of a hurdle race as that young man did at Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
He is a child, and he is a problem. You can teach a hurdle seminar off how clean that boy was, 0 to 10. And if he's going to run like that a month from now,
Ooh-wee.
I'm here for it. I thought it'd be a long time before I saw somebody that, could get at that number that Grant put up there. That kid can do it. Like, it was so clean. It was beautiful. As a hurdle fan, like that was beautiful.
And like, we can sit here, Tarsus Oregon, like we can sit here and Parker Valby being Parker Valby. Like, I just want people to understand who don't really mess with distance running. This is how good Parker Valby is. They had their steeplechaser anti-rabbit Parker for the first half of the race. What do I mean by anti-rabbit? Her job was to go out in front of Parker, and Parker's job was to stay behind her and not go past her. So they literally put a governor on this young lady for the first half of the race. And then she
excuse the pun.
Yes. She then went out and, finished the race, negative split it, broke the SEC record, blah, blah, blah. But all of those things, right? All of those things would be holistically irrelevant in comparison to Chris Johnson choosing violence and having not one, not two, but three young ladies run under 50 frigging seconds in the same race at the SEC championships.
And pulling the Georgia lady under 50 seconds as well. Hey, join the party.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
This is the conference meet.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel like I'm not. Though of those three ladies in Arkansas, one of them is international, right?
Amber Anning.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
transferred from LSU.
Right. So just understand, we are living in a world where it is totally plausible that Arkansas can take 2 to 3 spots for Team USA in the Open 400.
Oh, it's definitely possible.
Yes.
Like, you'd almost bet on it at this moment.
Because we're not talking about 49.99. We're talking
No.
about 49.32.
Right.
And 49.47.
Right.
Like, ooh-wee.
It was like, the fun game we all like to play is what didn't make the SEC final.
Mm-hmm.
That was brutal. Like, young man, who was in the Big 12, thought that the grass was greener, went to the SEC, coached up, PB'd, ran 10:19, and was in the stands. Like, that's like what happens to a lot of people is that the SEC will expose you for being really good, but not great.
Exactly.
And being really good in that conference can really be hard on your mental and your psyche.
So 45-70 didn't make the final.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the women's side, this is where it gets ridiculous. 51-64 did not make the final.
Right.
That's all
like
Arkansas.
That's faster than probably 85% of the school records in the country.
Yes.
And in the interest of being a track nerd, I just want to say Arkansas's C team ran 3:24 and Florida's B- team ran 2:59.
Yes.
All true.
Right? Like, they didn't win. Neither one of those teams that I just mentioned won.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that's what's out there, is that there's so much stuff, so many people in the SEC that people forget sometimes. There's only 8 lanes and there's only 8 scorers. Well, there's 9 lanes, but there's only 8 scorers. And
I will say this, because it ultimately, these are things that will or probably will affect the rest of the postseason, right? Watching Robert Gregory get dinged up in the 2, and watching Jacia Sears.
Yep.
You can't tell me the national record in 100 wasn't gone right there.
Oh, she was headed there. Oh, like, my goodness.
I don't know, we don't know how, big those injuries are, but hopefully they can get back and get themselves through the preliminary rounds. With like NCAA finals without those two athletes is just a completely different story.
That'd be brutal.
Yeah. Morales Williams, 4403.
Yeah.
No big deal. No big deal.
I mean, if you saw his interview afterwards, it wasn't to him. Like,
he's still figuring it out.
He's still figuring it out. He's still working on the race plan.
Man, oh man. So a couple of things for me, like, and I don't know that these conversations are being had. So the conference meet is an entity all in itself. But as a conference, I wonder if there is a collective thought, if there's collective thought given to where you host and how this is going to affect your athletes' qualification probabilities moving on. And I'm sure the answer is no, right?
I guarantee you it's no. And just because I've sat in too many of those summer meetings, regardless of the conference, right?
Yeah.
And everybody seems to, the majority, because I'm not one of those people. The majority of the people seem to default to their selfish intentions, right? I don't care what conference you're in. There are certain locations in your conference that are a good idea to host an outdoor championship. And then there's others that's an abject, ridiculous idea to do. And I don't understand
why.
Montana. Right, exactly. I don't understand why we can't just think about what's everybody's buzzword, student athlete experience, right? The best experience is I worked all year, I went to the championship, and I qualified for the show.
Yeah.
Just let them go somewhere that will help with that.
So Big Tens are in Ann Arbor. Like,
yeah.
What would be the risk in that? Okay. Pac-12's in Boulder?
I mean, yeah, that
and again, it's not like performances can't. It's not like performances can't be awesome because some of the performances were awesome.
You're expecting a very, very blessed weekend,
right,
to happen. Like
and
3 or 4 days.
First argument,
right?
First argument, and I've heard it in 4 different conferences. Well, our fans want to not. What fans? What fans? Because even at the SEC meet, the Gainesville population didn't show up. Okay. Right? Like it's the teams, coaches, the parents. That's who's there.
Yep.
And the parents travel to wherever they got the means to travel to.
Yep.
So until you show me a collegiate championship where the stands are packed with the locals, I don't want to hear that nonsense. They don't show up in Eugene when the Pac-12 is in Eugene. Okay? So stop with that.
He's not lying.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because you look at what's coming on the horizon, like just, kind of at home, right? The Big 12 has just added 2 schools in the state of Utah.
Yep. Yep.
Host the future Big 12.
And Colorado.
Hosted at UCF.
Just right. So like the Big 12 has just added Colorado and 2 schools in Utah.
Yes.
Or right. UCF or Arizona's. Host it there. Yes. Right? The Big 10 moving forward should forever be at Mount Sac. Let everybody come on out to LA for the weekend and roll.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, but it should. It's just a smart thing to do.
The Big 10 is kind of stuck, right? Because the weather is the furthest away from everybody else. I get it. I understand what you're saying. The Big 10 is kind of screwed in that regard. I think everybody else could actually do it logistically, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everybody else has a central location in the geographical center of their conferences that they could do it. But yeah, the conference meets this weekend were I don't know if anybody was paying attention. Like the throws went bananas everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
The like conference throws are always, the kind of a laser show, but this year was different. Like every single conference had like I'm just flipping through some things, and then I stumble upon, well, I wonder what's going on in the men's javelin in the Big Ten. Two guys over 80 meters, one guy throws 81.
Insane.
Huh? I
Yeah.
mean, we got collegians throwing 80 meters in multiple conferences. That's crazy talk. And so it was just like there were a multitude of throwing events in a multitude of conferences that just went bananas this weekend. Oddly, the one event that I thought was relatively soft, kind of around the country, was the deck. Because
Oh,
usually, some weird things happen at the conference decathlons, and they all kind of went to chalk for the
yeah.
most part.
Yep.
Nothing really crazy happened at the conference meets in the deck, but I feel like that's the only event.
I mean, there are a lot of people who were missing.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot were missing.
I know at some point in time we're gonna, not tonight, but we're gonna start talking about the Bowerman. I feel confident in saying that is in Gainesville on Parker Valby's nightstand
I mean,
at
yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she has mathematically eliminated the field.
Yeah. Just stay on your feet through the rest of the season.
Right.
I'm not sure she has to, but yes, we would all like for that to happen. But I mean, when your coaches are having to put governors on you so you don't break collegiate records at the conference meet.
Yeah.
Did
So I
anybody
just
else,
go
sorry,
ahead.
random, just how irritated her face looked, knowing that she had to stay behind?
Oh,
So I was
It was
half
fun to
asleep
watch.
when I watched it,
It
and so
was
I
fun
didn't
to watch.
realize that. But I saw that and I was like, why does she look so irritated? But whatever. What were you gonna
but
say,
I
Governor?
do
Sorry.
have a. Go ahead, Governor.
So, of course, my mind starts wondering, right? So I went through and found all the conference winners, right? So Texas won both genders, Big 12. Nebraska men, Minnesota woman won the Big 10. Duke woman, UVA men won the ACC. Washington men, Oregon woman won the Pac-12. LSU woman, Arkansas men won the SEC. Now, if all 10 of those, 5 of those squads lined up against each other, who wins that meet? And it's
So we're doing whole teams versus whole teams.
yes. So Arkansas versus Washington versus UVA versus Nebraska versus Texas. I say Arkansas
Texas.
wins that.
Either Arkansas or Texas.
On the women's side?
And
Yeah.
that's the men's side.
I'd have to look at the rosters.
Huh? Of
I'd have to
course you
like.
would. Of course. Yes. Yeah. But
I'll say this.
I'll say it's not who you think it would be.
Okay.
It would probably be a dogfight to the end between Nebraska and Arkansas
Interesting.
because they just have bodies
Bodies.
everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So on the women's side, LSU, Oregon, Duke, Minnesota, Texas.
Not Texas. I feel like Duke would win that.
Really?
No, I actually feel like LSU would win that because LSU is actually way more variant than folks think. Now they don't have a lot by way of the distances, but they're kind of spread out every place else.
I don't, and I have no context to say Duke. It's just Duke always feels like a well-balanced team to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong, but it is an interesting question. We can
Yeah.
we can play that game another week.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what else we have time for, Chew, but coaching carousel is spinning.
Well, we have to, we'll end on that because we do have to highlight there are some things that, I mean, within hours have opened up, so, or become known. Let me say it that way, become known.
Right.
Man, it's so funny. I was talking to someone today and they were like, quarters haven't even started. They were still on nickels and pennies. So,
Yeah.
you know, the
Before we
music's on point
go
five.
hot, before we go hot and heavy into the carousel, I'm going to speak for all of us and just say that the collegiate coaching career of Cliff Revelto
Yes.
that is coming to an end as he moves on into doing whatever he wants to do, which he will still coach, but you know, whatever. I think we all need people who are not as, you know, deeply ensconced in the track as the four of us are. I want everybody who is in earshot of anybody watching this show to just Google Cliff Revelto
Mm-hmm.
and look at that resume. 17 Olympians and 17 national champions in Manhattan, Kansas.
Right.
They didn't have an indoor track that was of any note, any ilk until this year.
Yeah.
It is an absolutely phenomenal and very varied coaching career. There are a lot of people out there that think that Cliff only coaches the high jump. And just as this is how mistaken they are, he coached the sprinters this year, including that 302 4x4 indoors.
Yep.
So, you know, just from the bottom of all of our hearts, a huge homage to an absolutely incredible coaching career to somebody who didn't do track. He was a golfer.
Legend.
Absolute legend.
So, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was gonna start listing off the ones that I've
Yes.
seen.
Go ahead.
I mean, West Coast going East Coast. San Bernardino, head coach, stepped away.
Yeah.
Boise State.
Yes.
Colorado State is now opened the application process for Ryan Bailey's job.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not his job per se, but a position
But
to fill a spot.
The assistant, yes.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Didn't you forget one in California?
I mean, UCLA's open.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so funny.
I won't appease it. I won't appease the headline.
Oh
That's so
man.
funny. That's so funny.
So potentially there's 6 jobs open.
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Boston is open.
Boston.
There's a couple jobs open in Indiana. I mean, smaller schools, D2s, NAIAs are open.
Hey.
So that's there.
Like we do this every year, more so as an alert to those who care to know. But
right,
it's our world is no different from, you know, the end of the football season.
Yep.
This is the week where firings happen, where retirements happen, where, you know, people step away, like, and it's only going to get crazier by the week.
Yep.
Oh, you know,
yeah.
if you're a fan of the show or you're a coach that watches the show, and like all you have to do is like pay attention, because, you know, this thing is just going to go and go and go. And any one of these, you know, seats that are open that we just referenced will start more domino effects of their own. So by the
Mississippi
time this
State.
thing is over, you know, it's always like a whole reshaping of the coaching landscape every year.
Yeah.
So,
And the wildest thing about it is that it doesn't end. I mean, we're seeing hirings in December and January, and I
yeah,
mean,
that's the unprofessional part of it. Like,
Yeah, like
just
when did
put your
James
staffs in place by August, people.
right when did James get the job at Oklahoma?
wasn't
November.
it November?
Because
Yeah.
I said that was after cross country season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
The
Crazy
carousel
times.
is gonna rumble pretty long this year, I think. Because I don't think we've seen the end of the retirements either.
No, certainly not.
Well, and so I made this joke, and after I joked about it, I was like, well, interesting strategy, if you so would. So obviously we went to the West prelim last year, and everybody was in the tents, right? So you really didn't have any much cross pollination. You didn't. It's just because
Right.
everybody was barricaded and just things were very separated. And then I flashed back to the year before, we're in Arkansas, and we're just taped off. And you
Mhm.
saw all the cross pollination. And so you're like, you could see some of these
Mhm.
interactions and
yes,
foreshadowings.
yep.
When we were in SAC, I didn't see a lot of it. And granted, my role is a little bit different when we were in SAC, but you couldn't see it because the walls were up, literally and figuratively. So it's I thought that was very interesting, and if beyond being placed, I think strategically as well, when you're in Arkansas's indoor, um, the jobs are different too. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then doesn't the portal open soon for y'all?
The
Next
Yeah.
week,
23rd.
Yeah.
Thursday, right?
Weekdays.
Thursday.
Yes.
Yep.
The
In
23rd.
the middle of regionals, which I
Right?
That's so
Prelim.
wild.
prelims
So
Yes, get it
wild.
right.
in the middle of prelims.
Portal
Like,
opens during
It's
prelims.
such a random day. Understand it because it happened. It's been happening. There will be kids at the preliminary round
Yep.
will run their race
Yep.
and be in the portal before they make it home.
Mhm.
Yes.
That will happen.
Yes. There will be notable kids that happens to.
Absolutely. And you know, half of it is based on how they run in the prelims.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, even better, there's going to be kids who run in the prelim, jump in the portal, who make the final site, and will be doing a audition for all teams there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Better sign
Because,
up for the right tent.
this is the world, right? This is the world we're in at this point. So, you know. I do want to say again, as the one that got to watch everybody and not, be in the trenches, you guys did some hellified coaching this past week. All four of you.
Thank you.
I mean, I know Sir Lucius's face isn't on the screen, but you guys coached your buns off this weekend, and I was quite proud to be counted amongst y'all. So
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It was a lot.
pretty cool stuff, guys.
I made a joke, but I was being, if you guys didn't do it already, tents were supposed to be ordered no later than today in Eugene, FYI.
Wait, what?
Hence,
For real. Yeah, tents for Eugene. Today was last day. Better make an email.
for Eugene.
Yeah.
Yes, for Eugene. See, you weren't paying attention. She said for Eugene.
Okay.
Like that, bro. How you ordering tents for a meet that you don't know you're in?
That's right.
That applies for like 10 people. So what happens? What
So I have
happens
a
if
deck, so I knew I was going.
right? So what happens if small school X orders tents and then don't qualify? You get your money back?
I did not read that far down the page.
That's crazy.
I just saw the date
See
and
that?
I said yes.
Chew hit y'all with that subtle flex. She's like, well, my deck's going, so I'm going. So I really didn't read all the way down to the what happens if we don't go.
Right.
Then we're gonna need a tent no matter what.
Right.
I
It
mean,
might be just me and him in the tent, but we gonna have a tent.
I don't know about
Alright.
y'all.
Are we wrapping here? Cause I gotta drive.
yes, we are. Yes,
Yes.
we are. Well, it was great wrapping everything up, giving snippets of our conferences. Of course, everything's available on ESPN Plus and all this other formats. I wasn't giving a plug. I'm sorry.
Wow.
But you can go find that. I'm so sorry. That was horrible. Go find it, Google it, whatever. That's another plug. My bad. My bad. I gotta stop. I'm literally gonna get kicked off of YouTube. Um, but nonetheless, fun as always. Uh, Governor and Clyde, I will see you next week for sure, for sure. We might
Yeah.
as well do a whole group shoot.
I mean, you know,
Cool.
figure it out.
Yeah, we'll
We
figure
can
it out.
figure that out.
But anyhow, travel safe. Hope everyone gets a little bit less weather wherever they're at. And other than that, have a great week. We'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.
Hey.